freestyle. We're pretty good at freestyling here on the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Everybody, welcome back. We have a special guest, Andy. I'm excited. You excited?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Oh, you paused there for a second. Like I was waiting. Like, wait, is he not excited? Everybody, I want to introduce you to our friend, Patrick Caldow. I'm not saying his name how it's spelled, but I'm insisting. He insisted that I do not pronounce the L. It's Patrick, the Aussie Apprentice on Instagram. Patrick, we're super, super excited to have you on. Everybody knows because it gets brought up time and time again for no reason and no benefit of the listener, but we record super early in the morning here I'm Central Time. Andy, it's not even like it's still yesterday where Andy lives. And you, my friend, you are all the way over in Australia. You're going to give us the lowdown on where you live and where you work in a minute here, but it's like midnight at your house. Like it's like the next day. This is cool. We are time traveling via podcast right now. So everybody, you are witness. This is some like John Wick stuff, or like no, not John Wick. The other movie he was in. What was the other movie?
The Matrix.
Matrix.
No.
Yeah, this is like some Matrix stuff happening. See, that's how much I don't know about what I'm talking about. So, Patrick, welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. We're happy to have you on, man.
Legend. Thanks very much, gentlemen. It's brilliant to be here. It's 12:03 a.m. at the moment, so I had to have the conversation earlier. I was like, oh look, I said to my partner, I was like, well, I'm gonna make some noise later on tonight. Just don't worry about me. And she's like, I've got work tomorrow. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. So if you hear some yelling and screaming, it's going well, but like, don't worry about it. Yeah, really, really happy to get on here with you, gentlemen. It's it's ripper. It's so funny. Like you talk to you guys, like through a couple of messages or a brief video here and there, or like your comment or whatever, and it's just like it just marries up in person. It's just like you can talk smack, like just no worries. It's great. It's great fun,
It's fun to have an apprentice on, isn't it, Andy? Like finally we get to make fun of somebody else instead of the two of us. Andy's so nice. He won't even ever give me a hard time back. Like we'll have Chad on once in a while. You've heard Chad on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
He's a handful. And he just gives it to Andy, and Andy just smiles, and he's like, every once in a while gives him a little bit back, but not much. He's too nice.
It's like Andy just goes quiet, and he just there's nothing because he's just like, now I can't say anything mean about this bloke because I'll kill Chad one day, but
right. Oh my God. Andy, he knows you. He knows you quite well.
I know. Serial killer in the background.
Look, just don't look behind you. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Right. No. Yeah. So, Patrick, we were talking, and you just celebrated a milestone in your plumbing journey here. You just started, as of like last week, your 4th year of your apprenticeship. And can you give us just a rundown? Like, how long is an apprenticeship for plumbing in Australia?
Yeah, so basically to do your certification 3 in plumbing in Australia, which is like it's a TAFE course or a peer course, like it is technically tertiary education, but we do 4 years. That gets you out as a tradesperson, so you are a licensed plumber. Different states do the training differently. I know that Victoria do like a whole exam system. South Australia is very much like learn as you go, which is where I'm based as well. So I'm in Adelaide of South Australia, and basically what it is like we go through, check our theory, pass a couple of little tests, and then we apply that in a practical, like in a workshop sort of thing. But the difficulty as well is that, like, I don't know if it's different for you guys, like you obviously to run a plumbing business, because I've got a bunch of mates that are going through and a lot of business owners now, like you need to do effectively they say it's another 2 years of schooling on your own time. Most of it is night classes or study by like correspondence. And it's or online study, and it's apparently like the level of like Cert 3 plumbing to Cert 4, which is your contractors, like master plumbers, is just it's just massive. It's just ridiculous because it's just, you get some blokes that go, oh yeah, nah, I can do this, no worries. And then they hop into their Cert 4 and go, nah, this is not for me. I don't even want to run a business. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And they bail, straight away. But there was recently an update for all of Australia because I'm probably going to get into it too much, but there's the Australian government have turned out and gone, plumbing is identified as a skills shortage. So there's not enough plumbers for the amount of work that we want to do and how much infrastructure and building we want to do. So they basically said, hey, we need more plumbers. We need more schools putting kids into plumbing, more training, etc. And they've recently changed it. So if you want to do your Cert 4, which used to be, still is technically like a $16,000 course over 2 years or whatever, they said that if you complete it within that 2 years, then you'll get it for free. Like no holds barred. They'll pay for the whole thing, which is fantastic because, a lot of, some apprentices might want to go through. You don't obviously save a lot of money when you're in your apprenticeship. And then you go, oh, where am I supposed to pull this $16,000 out of? And it's not always a nice place, but
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, do you have when you start an apprenticeship? Are you just give me a quick rundown of how do you get into it there? Like here, you would have to, obviously decide hey, I'm going to try out plumbing. And then a lot of times people are looking to direct to the employer. They're just going to find out, oh, this company needs somebody, or somebody's going to reach out and be like, hey, you should go work with my uncle. He does plumbing, whatever. And then you get into, the state of Minnesota says, you have to register and you formally become an apprentice, and you don't have to go to school. You can get your training on the job. But then there are, formal organizations like Andy's in a union, and they have, and I went through the union when I started out, and they have, formal classes that start at this month, and you go so many nights a week, or all these, it's for so many years. How do you get into it there? And then, real quick follow up: when you start, are you starting at a base pay that's maybe 50% of the licensed plumber or something like that, and you progress as you go?
Yeah. So basically, when you start off, to answer your first question, if the way that I went through it was, I wanted to get an apprenticeship. So I knew a couple of people that were in the industry already that worked at one of the suppliers. And my girlfriend, who's still with me now, she works at Reese Plumbing. So she got, which is the biggest supplier in Australia. It's nuts. I think they've got a couple of places over in the US as well. They basically, she knew a plumber that was looking for an apprentice, kind of not totally sold on the idea. And she said, look, why don't you do a week of work experience, see how you go, see if you really like it, do a trial run. And I was selling cars way before this. I went to uni, and then I worked at a roofing supplier, a massive manufacturer of roofing supplies in Australia. And then I was nah, I'm gonna be a commercial car salesman basically. So I was looking after big companies and that. And then I was nah, I hate my job. I hate this so much. Oh my God, man, nothing made me appreciate life more than going into plumbing. I was this is wicked. I'm outside, and so I did my week of work experience. I was wow, this is sick. This is really interesting. And then from that, I was also in talks with, there's the Master Plumbers Association of South Australia. There's other ones around Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales, etc. They're they're both they're a group training organisation. I think that's the right term for them. Basically, they will employ the apprentice, and the apprentice will get hosted with a host employer. So I was employed by Master Plumbers, but I was hosted by my company that I had done that trial shift that. So you can go through it that way. You could go through find somebody, talk to the GTO. You can also do it direct through the employer as well, which a lot of people do it, but there's some caveats to that. You can get better pay. I know, I'm on, I think it's $23 an hour or something at the moment as a fourth year apprentice. And I know some apprentices that have gone through, and as a first year, they're on $32 an hour because they're direct. Oh, wow. So there's a massive disparity, but also the big part of that is that if you're a direct apprentice, if anything ever goes wrong, nobody has your back in a sense. So if you were to, not perform as well or hurt yourself at work and your employer didn't want to keep you on, there's nothing catching you. There's no safety net. So like with master plumbers and that, they're just like, oh, caught you, we'll throw you back into another business who's looking for an apprentice just like you. Bang, you're out in the field straight away. They pay you while you've either been stood down because there's not enough work, or like a project got shut down and you got sent back. There's lots of different ways, but it's so apprentices, we definitely get a very, very good wage, compared to a lot of other industries in Australia. If you're a fresh, 17, 18-year-old out of school, or like still at school and you're doing an apprenticeship through school, you are on not very, I think, look, the cheapest I've seen is probably like $14, $15 an hour. And then it only really goes up from there. A good tradesman in Australia, or tradesperson, like, a plumber, they can get anywhere from 40 or 35, 40, 50. There's a company in Adelaide that, I won't name, but they're very, very dodgy. And they're sales plumbers, oriented. And it's like, they rip off old ladies, like it's cooked. Those blokes, they get like $85 an hour. And they are just, look, they're effectively getting the same pay as if they were running their own business, but the caveat is that you have to sell your soul. But there's really good pays out there. So it's, I know some blokes that have chased money and they've hated their life. Like I used to work with a fella that, he went from business to business, and he worked with us for a couple of months at the company that I was at, and then he was like, nah, bailed, and he got out, went to another company, and then another month he went to another company, and the pay kept increasing, but all I heard was this is going wrong, I hate this, I hate my boss, I hate this. I'm like, God, you've really got to fix that work-life balance. You think, why would you want to work for somebody that you just rock up every day and you're like, I don't want to get out of bed? Or, roll in, you're not getting as paid as good. It might be another couple of bucks less an hour or whatever. But you roll in, there's a coffee waiting there for you. You're not expected to be on site and at the butt crack of dawn. You just, you live in life and you're much more comfortable. But yeah, I see a lot of blokes fall into that trap of I'm going to chase the money, or they'll go to the mines or an oil rig, and they'll be like, FIFO, fly in, fly out is really, really good. I'm like, do you see your family? Nah, but the money's really good. I'm like, no worries.
You can send them gifts.
I bought you a new jet ski. Do you like my jet ski? And it's like, mate.
You sound just like the guy that does and you can't change my mind when you did that right there.
Oh, man. And you think, oh, man, it's nuts. These guys, and they have all these these toys, these big utes, these trucks, I suppose. They have the caravan, they have the boat, they've got the jet ski, big flash house. They're never there. And when they're there, they're shooting it up a wall, or sniffing it up or whatever. And they're that money is gone, man. And you're like, oh yeah, all that. Yeah, I'm sure you blokes know a few people that are like that in the industry, and you sort of got to shake them and think, well, come on, mate, just do a little bit better with your money, because otherwise you're gonna crash into a heap.
Yeah, we watched that here. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago when the oil price was up. Eastern Montana is this big oil bank. They call it a shale shelf, basically. So they go over and they do all this oil exploration and drilling and whatnot. And when the price is good, they're making money hand over fist. And same thing, you can't find a new truck on a lot anywhere. Everything's everything that they guys driving these big jacked up trucks and $150,000 truck and driving around, and then they come back home and when the oil price drops and they got nothing. They got nothing.
No, they're like, I've got a Bud Light in the fridge. It's like, that's it. That's all you've got.
Yeah, Bud Light and a $150,000 truck payment.
Some of those guys, because they have it in North Dakota, which is pretty close here to in between Andy and I. Yeah, and I know people that have moved to go do that oil work from Minnesota, guys that I went to school with. And some of these guys are making $10,000, $15,000 a month.
Yeah.
Because they're doing some of the most dangerous, ridiculous work that there is. It's crazy. And they're living out on these, drug infested, often frequented by, prostitutes and like these man camps that are just not good environments. But they're not, how do I put this nicely? They're not educated and experienced in how to handle that lifestyle and the money that they're bringing in. And it's just a waste.
Yeah.
Imagine what they could do for the economy if they would just be like, I'm going to hang on to 50% of this and invest it. You know what I mean? Like, instead they just blow it on hookers and blow or something. Like, I don't know. It's probably not what they do. But
that's definitely what they do.
Absolutely.
I just like, I see it all the time. And like, I've got a few mates that are like in other like similar sort of trade industries, or even like, I know a bloke that his missus, she works up in the mines as like, she's in HR or something. And she's just like, she's rolling in, she's got good money rolling in, right? And it's like, you can make money. The sacrifice is that you're not at home. But when they come back, and it's like, you're fighting to catch up with your mates. You can't see anybody when you want to see them. Family goes by the wayside because you're only home on like a couple of days when everyone else is working. And you just think, like, what is the bloody point? Like, you're just gonna, like, it's just, I mean, look, I know a couple of blokes that are in my TAFE course, and they go, yep, as soon as I'm done at my apprenticeship, I'm going straight to the mines. I'm going to work for a couple of years, or I'm just going to work. I'm just going to nonstop work. And, because they want to live that lavish lifestyle. Like, there's a little island up the north of, off the coast of like the Northern Territory of Australia called like, well, you probably know where Bali is anyway, a part of Indonesia. And like the whole thing is like FIFO workers live in Bali and then they come back to the oil rigs and the mines. It's like all that money just gets just sloshed down the streets of Bali. And then just like, they come back and go, oh, yeah, mate, Linus, can you grab this next pint at the pub? Yeah, grab us next beer. Mate, grow up.
It's crazy though. Like it sounds like you have a pretty grounded outlook on this because like it's a long game. If you start, I've told apprentices that used to work for me years ago when I was helping train apprentices for the company I work for. Look, I'm not the perfect example, but I would try to tell them, look, you don't make a ton of money right now. You're probably spending all of it, but the next raise you get, why don't you try to live off the wage you worked before?
Yeah, that's it. 100%.
And then start using that money to your advantage because it's not today that you need it. It's going to be 5 years from now when your kids are, starting sports or something stupid that you're going to need more money every day. And you're just not, if you didn't save and you didn't discipline yourself, that's really what it comes down to. If you aren't disciplined, you're going to be, like you said, it's going to be, you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck and it's never going to be, you're never going to get ahead that way. And you're not going to really truly have that lifestyle because you can't sustain that. You can't go work in those mines or whatever.
No,
at, 55 years old, you can't do it. It's just, it's a young person's, game. And like Andy, Andy's at the peak of his career. I'm just going to say it right now, but it's because he didn't.
It's all downhill from here.
No, that's not what I meant. I'm looking at it like he's at the top and he's going to stay there. But Andy, I mean, seriously, I mean this as a compliment though, but it's not because you're like, I'm going to get big fast. It's because I'm going to grow slowly.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it totally is. I have to thank, I have to shoot a whole ton of credit to my wife because when we were dating, kind of like where you and your girlfriend are at, Patrick, is that like I was in that apprenticeship mode, graduated high school, started, went to college for like a year and all of a sudden I'm, screw college. I'm going to go do plumbing. And then I get this huge raise from like working my crap job of delivering flowers to, I'm a plumbing apprentice and making money. And then all of a sudden it's like every 6 months I'm getting a raise. And if it wasn't for her, she was working in banking. And one of the things that they had, she was a bank teller. And one of the things that they had, through her job was all of these training modules about saving money and like finance and like learning, how to like handle money and how to, because she was dealing with customers who would come in and ask them questions about, well, how much money should I set aside? How much should I do here?
Yeah.
And so she was like trained on that. And it was for us. It's been a like monumental, like level up to have somebody that just kind of understands, that, we got a $100 credit card bill. Well, we're going to pay 125 on it every month because otherwise it's not going away.
That's it. 100%.
It's so that finance side of it. And I don't know why they don't teach that in like grade school or high school.
Oh, it's the
It'd
biggest.
It's such a joke. It's just like Australia's the exact same. Like, there was a class, there was like, I forget what it was called. It was in year 10 or year 11, like our, I don't know, like the year before. Oh, I don't even know. Sophomore? I don't know. Anyway, so we had this class and it was effectively like, maths for life. It was basically learning how to do, your own budget, how to like work out bills, etc. And like that was seen as the maths that the dumb people did. And I I did math studies in year 11, year 12, and I was like, no worries. I'll rip in and like, I'll do the harder maths because I want to work harder. And I struggled with it, but I pushed through and did it. And then at the end of it, I was like, why don't I know anything about my finances? And those guys did. And I feel like I left school and I went to uni. I was like, oh, wow, I actually need to save some money now. I have nothing to my name. And then those other people were working full-time jobs. They were ripping in, they were saving for a house deposit or to buy a car or to go to travel to Europe or something. And then there's little old Patty just going, I might have some more ramen this week. I'm feeling a little bit ostentatious,
Well, those ostentatious apprentices definitely could benefit from some education too. And we're not teaching that in apprentice courses. It's not for good reason. Like, we need to teach apprentices in any trade how to do their job. And but it would be neat to see some elective courses available within these training programs that said, look, you want to save some money, a-hole, because you're not rich and you're not going to be rich for a long time. You might think so, especially that's all perspective too. Like, look, if you're 20 years old and you're making $25 an hour, you're going to think like, holy crap, this is a ton of money. And it is a ton of money if you know what to do with it. But if you just go spend it, then it's nothing. It's still zero at the end of the day. I can make $25 an hour and you can make $25 an hour. But the difference is I can make it work for me and you can just go blow it on stupid crap you don't need. And, if we're not teaching that. And so like, I kind of tried to take that on as a responsibility as the journeyman, the training kind of, to the dude working under me and be like, hey, I know it's none of my business, but are you putting some of your paycheck away? And as you get to know each other a little better, you start talking more about it because this is somebody you're taking the time to mentor, and hopefully there's respect both ways. But like, that's a part of it, man. You're starting out your life as an apprentice.
Oh, I get messages all the time, and it's like, these first years or like just freshly started or fresh out of school. Like, I get some 16-year-olds or 17-year-olds that are straight into their apprenticeship, and they just ask me some of the most like simple questions, but to them it means the world. They're like, oh, hey, like, what was the first tool you bought? Because, I don't know, I've only got a couple of like first year apprentices when they get like maybe $300 a week or whatever it works out to be. It's nothing. Like, and they're still filling up their car to go to work. They're buying their lunch because they might not know to pack their own lunch to save money. And that's like all these things that these first year apprentices get caught up in. Like, it doesn't matter what trade you're in. And it's this, I don't know, this tradie mentality in Australia is a little bit, it's good. It's great when it wants to be, but sometimes it's pretty toxic in the sense that, like, we'll go down, we'll buy lunch, we'll buy smoko, we'll grab another coffee, we'll buy another coffee. And it's just like, where is all that money coming from? Like, you can't just be expecting to just keep like living this lavish lifestyle. Like, and especially for first year apprentices, they're trying to keep up with a tradesman or a tradesperson that is effectively earning like, sometimes 3 times as much as what they're earning. And they're fine. They're rolling in it. And like, but like what you said before, Eric, about like, if you're mentoring this kid or this person, by all rights, like I have conversations with the other apprentices at work all the time. Like, I don't really care. I don't think it's taboo. I think like the fact, like if some people like actively go, no, I'm not going to ask him because I don't want to seem a little bit weird. No, just ask the poor, person. They might just need that bit of a, not put it harshly, a bit of like a kick up the bum to sort of go, oh, you know what? I actually do need to save a bit of money because he's been and done it, and he knows that like the traps that I can fall into. And I'll go, now, just put a little bit away, or, a good term for it is lifestyle creep. Like, a lot of guys come out of their trade and they're suddenly earning, like, again, double of what they were on before. Holy crap, I've got this money. I'll buy a brand new Hilux and I'll buy a brand new jet ski, and me and the missus will go to Bali and it will be great fun. And you go, yeah, no worries, mate. And then they come back and they're like, oh yeah, just 2-minute noodles for lunch this week, boys, like you just don't stop having this lifestyle creep. Like, don't expect it. And they buy the nicest things. They're like, oh, you're like, check out my new watch, man. Check out my wallet. I'm like, nah, just you got to save your money where you can, because otherwise it's just gonna. Yeah. I could harp on about it for so long.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, Andy, when's your next trip? When's your next vacation? When are you? You know what I mean? Like that's. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to put. I mean, you play the long game and you get to do stuff, right, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's one of those things. I mean, that leverage and a credit card spend or something like that, or leveraging the reward miles. I mean, not many people get the opportunity to basically buy, $750,000 worth of stuff on a credit card every year.
No.
Right. Yeah. Or whatever. And that's where we're at right now with this is, you buy, $600,000 worth of gas and parts and stuff in a year. It's an insane amount. Oh, yeah. And it all, and this is what the part that, I tell people about this and they're like, no, you can't put that much on a credit card. I'm like, oh, I do. I absolutely do.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
No, we pay it off.
You're accounting for it. You're
paying right. It out, we pay it off every week. Like once a week, there's a payment going to the credit card company to pay off what we put on it the week prior.
Yeah.
So there's never a chance that there's ever going to be an interest charge on it.
Yeah.
And like the Spark card, I think we pay like $180 a year for that card for the rewards program. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm trying to think of what it was that we went to Italy.
Yeah.
So the whole family, all four of us, all of our flights from Missoula, Montana to Italy were entirely paid for by reward miles on the credit card from the 6 months prior.
How good is that?
It's just knowledge to start with and discipline. Yeah.
It's being smart about it. It's like, it's literally, you're just like, well, hey, wow, I can now do this. I can now I can use my frequent flyer miles and I'll just use it. Oh, you know what? We'll start putting more things on the credit card because we can save more money that way. Oh, wow, we can go to Italy. Oh my God. And it's just like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And everyone goes, oh, well, why can he go to Italy? It's like, well, maybe if you saved your money and be smart.
Well, so this kind of brings me to my next question, though, and I know we're going on and on about this, but it's interesting, especially from your perspective, Patrick. So thank you. But so there's kind of two big schools of thought on this. When you're starting out, when you're young, when you're leaving school, and you're a young adult, and you decide like. Some people will look at that time in their life and be told by people around them, or they have the attitude themselves, like, this is a time for me to go out and have fun, like really learn and see the world and stuff. And that's one way to look at it. I'm not judging one or the other. I can tell you probably guess which path I took, but the next path would be, this is when you work your hardest, because so that you don't have to necessarily work as hard, let's say 20 years from now, I would like to think that Andy and I are the same age. You look at, 45, 46, 40, mid 40s. And I would like to think that we are young at heart and well experienced, right?
That's right. And young in the face. You boys look so beautiful today.
Really, so kind. But we chose, and this isn't right for everyone either. And I'm not. Maybe I would advocate for it for sure. We chose when we were young, that was when we worked.
Yeah,
I mean, we work now, but we worked as hard as we could when we were young.
Yeah.
I got my master plumber's license when I was 23 years old, or 22, 23. And like, that's no small
that's a big feat.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right. But it's because I was like nose down, all my buddies are partying. And I thought, apprenticeship, it worked out for me. I too, just like Andy, I dropped out of college. It wasn't for me, that kind of thing. Now, look, we're lucky. We found something that all three of us, we found something that we really like to do. Not many people get to say that. But looking back, I also, hindsight 2020, I look back and I think, wow, I made the right decisions then. I maybe didn't quite know it at the time fully.
Yeah.
But I made conscious effort to be like, you know what? I'm young. I had people in my family that did that were plumbers, but that did other trade jobs too. And I looked to them and I thought, well, they had good lives. And I think really ultimately I saw that when they were young, they just worked their butts off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't their party time of their life. Like, sure, you can go out and have fun on the weekend or whatever, but like taking a gap year to go, backpack around Europe sounds really cool, but in reality doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Because like, I think it's just one more year you're set back, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So what do you think about that for the, like, is that kind of the same kind of mentalities down there in Australia? And when you talk to these guys that are starting an apprenticeship, guys and gals?
It is like, and you know what, like, and I'm not gonna, like, I've got a lot of mates that started off when they were like, 16, 17, 18. A lot of them are very close mates of mine now, and they are like, and even a lot of mature age apprentices that I go to TAFE, like, trade school with as well. Mature age blokes, they get it. They get it from the get-go. They're like, I'm doing this as a career. I'm trying to save as much money. I'm trying to set myself up because, I think it's the mentality around the world, like, especially in Australia, like, we're all very, like, not concerned, but it's always playing on our mind. Like, we want financial freedom when we're older. And a lot of the generations prior to us have that, and they're comfortable and they're happy. And like, they've got their very nice houses. Like, cost of housing in Australia, and as compared to like the income disparity is gigantic. I think the ratio is like as high as it basically gets in any country. It's just stupid. Like, here in New Zealand is nuts. And a lot of people go, oh, well, I don't want to get stuck in the rut of, A, not having a house, B, not being able to pay my rent, C, not being able to raise a family. Like, they're all real concerns for these mature age apprentices. Whereas a lot of 18-year-olds, a couple of my really close mates aren't like that, and a lot of them are like, "Nah, you know what? I'm saving. It's not difficult." But also, like, a lot of them tend to go, "Well, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm 21, I'm 22. I can go to down the main street of Adelaide. Like, I go down partying every weekend. Like, go out on Friday, go out on Saturday, grab a beer after lunch on like on a random Thursday or whatever, or any number of things. But it's like, catching up with your mates and spending money like, can be mutually exclusive. Like, you can do things without having to spend money. And like, the biggest thing that I try to say to these guys is like, just exercise restraint. Like, you don't have to, you go camping on a budget. Like, we do it all the time. We go up into the Barossa, like, wine region, which is like 10 minutes from my house, and we just go pick a spot and just go camping. Costs us nothing. It's just the food that we bring and the fuel that drives us there. But then, get some blokes like, I know a few people that have fallen into that trap of that, like, lifestyle creep. All of a sudden, they're a physio, not a physio, but like, they're an OT, or like, they're a doctor or whatever. They have this lavish lifestyle. They go to Sydney, they go to Melbourne every second weekend, they're paying for these flights, and there's no restraint. And they're like, and their mentality, and exactly like you said, Eric, it's just like, oh, well, I'm young, I deserve it. Bro, chill out. Like, and it's like, but like, I sort of laugh because I had that when I was young. Like, when I was 18, 19 at university, of course I did. I drank, but I still worked hard. But you just got to, like, prioritize and compartmentalize of what's actually important at the time. Like, if you would rather, like, sink tins with your mates than study for that exam that's actually probably about 40% of your grade, maybe have another think about that. little Johnson, have a real good think about that. But yeah.
Well, we're coming up on time. Andy, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's funny to hear you recant those, that of the last, 3 or 4 years of your life, and think back of the same thing, when I was going through my apprenticeship, and it was very, very similar, note where, you watch those guys out beside going, oh, they're having a good time. Boy, that would be fun to go have a good time. And then it's like, yeah, well, I'm going to sit down and have a steak on Wednesday, and because I saved a couple bucks.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's just about my missus always pulls me up. Like, I allow myself to get like FOMO, like fear of missing out, and I get it all the time. I'm like, man, it looks like so much fun. Like, they're having a great time. That'll be so much fun. She's like, you just want to be there. That's all it is, and if you're there, you're going to spend money, and like, it just goes round and round in a circle. But like, and we, same thing, like when we go to people's places, we bring our own alcohol before. We'd rather stay at a house, like at a mate's house, like just swag at a mate's house, than going to town and spend, drinks in Adelaide are cooked. It's like $18 for a vodka Coke. And I'm like, yeah, it's it's crazy. It's totally crazy. And you get like a pint, a full, like it's not even an imperial pint, it's an Adelaide pint, which is like 470 mils, which is a total, 410, I think, or whatever it is. Anyway, you go to the Adelaide Oval, which is like, that's where we have our football, like that's our oval, like our stadium sort of thing. A pint of beer is like $16. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, and these guys will go and they'll sink these beers, like, they'll be watching a cricket match, like a test match or whatever, and then just sloshing beers back. And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be like a $250 day just to exist. But so.
Meanwhile, Andy, we just booked a trip to Greece, so I'm glad I was playing the long game when I started.
Oh, nice.
That's right. Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. So next step for you, Patrick, is you just started your 4th year. Then you're going to level 4 when you finish this all out, or stick around for a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so I really want to do my Cert 4. I want to get onto that as soon as I can. Like, even if I don't decide to start a business right away, which, to be perfectly honest, I don't think I probably will be able to, because there's a lot of monetary investment with it. There's a lot of like, you're buying tools, you're buying a van, you're buying everything. You both know exactly what the running costs are of a business. Your cost of advertising, if you decide to advertise, everything that comes with it. I think the biggest thing for Cert 4 in Australia is it doesn't just teach you, and again, I don't know what it's like in the US, but it doesn't just teach you how to run a business, which is a big facet of it, but it teaches you so much more about plumbing that you will just trump anybody else in the field. You roll up to site and, some bloke doesn't know anything about like any sort of backflow prevention, and you roll up knowing it like the back of your hand. They're going to, like the client's probably going to listen to the person that knows a bit more, sort of thing. And it sets you up more. The way that I see it is like, I really apply myself at trade school, and I want to like ask as much of these lecturers as I can, because there's a lecturer there that's like been plumbing for like 40 years. And the bloke is just a wealth of knowledge. And like, shout out to him, because his name's Kev. He's a brilliant bloke anyway. And he's just like, but he takes the time to really like instill information into you. And like, if you ask a question, you see some of the lads in the back of the classroom go, oh, Paddy's asked another question. Can he just shut up? But he'll drive it home. He's like, well, you know what? That's a great question you ask, because like, these are all the things that you need to look out for when you're doing X, Y, Z. And it makes you a better plumber. That's just the fact of it, because he can tell you something that it would take you 8 hours to learn on the job, and he tells you in 5 minutes. And you're like, oh, wow, that was really cheap. I didn't even have to pay for that information. I didn't have to pay to muck up someone's bathroom to learn this, But definitely. As soon as it's available, there's a big wait period at the moment. I think it's like 18 months to even get into it, which is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. I'm just keen to get it done whenever I can, but yeah.
I heard Andy's looking to hire a new guy at the shop in Montana. You want to move to Montana?
Look, it seems a bit snowy and cold, but I
think that's a no.
I'll come just for summer, and then you blokes can deal with it over winter. And I'll fly home. I'll be doing this out the window, and you'll be there sitting in your boots, just freezing off. And you'll be oh god, it must be nice in 40-degree weather in Australia. And then
come to think of it, from the north to the south, southern hemisphere, you would, if you came for our summers, you would miss out on your winters. You'd make out pretty good in that game.
How good would that be? Just summer all year round. Oh man, I'd be looking like a Spanish fella. I'd be so tanned. I don't know. Look, but yeah, it's been good talking to you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. It's been great fun.
A lot of fun having you on.
Good
Andy,
stuff.
you probably got to get going. You got a job to get to.
I got a couple of guys that are texting me asking questions about their projects coming up. So
we'll just
better start answering questions.
Yeah. Anybody's houses you go to today, gents, just say Patrick sent you, and they'll know. Yeah. They'll understand. That's why you're a little bit late.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick, hang on 1 second. Don't dodge out of here when we're done here. We're going to hit stop recording. And Andy, thanks for being patient once again with me asking all the questions. You're so quiet when we have somebody.
I don't know. We're just taking it all in.
He's just a sponge of information. Just loves to just absorb.
I think I just interrupt way too much. That's what it comes down to. Patrick, thanks for being on, dude. Everybody listening, appreciate you guys. Hit us up in the show notes there. You can leave us a comment. You can leave us a voice message. You can do all kinds of stuff there. You can also rate us in your podcast app. Guys, thanks for being on. Have a good day. Patrick, you got to go to bed, man. It's like,
dude. It is 12:43 a.m. here, and you know what? I'm beyond tired now, so I might just go look at the stars or something, because I just there's nothing better to do.
Yeah. Oh, there is nothing better to do than to be on the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Thanks, guys.